It's literally in the name. You need to be social. You need to go on there and need to have conversations. Hello and welcome back, everyone. Today we're talking about social media in 2025. I was going to say social media trends, but one of my points is not to follow trends. So I'm just going to say social media in 2025 because we're always, looking at how to adjust our approach to social media. It's always changing. And so all the different platforms are releasing reports and what's happening. And so I thought I would just like kind of simplify what you can do. It doesn't have to be big, but it's just a few points of how we can change our approach to social media this year.
Awesome. Well, let's hear what are your suggestions during actually, if people could see us, I died laughing. As soon as she put her hands up in the air, she goes, "Okay, wait," because the trend word I knew was probably gonna come out and just stop and this is something I don't say. So I love
Yeah,
that. That's hilarious.
trend. And I'll tell you, I don't like trends because I feel like trends just keep us in this, like, chasing mode
Oh,
and
yeah.
get overwhelmed, especially if you're an independent beauty pro. Like, you have enough things to do that now you need to add chasing what's popular on social media. You're not gonna do anything. You end up freezing, and you don't wanna move forward, and that doesn't help you. So then we're in a vicious cycle. But I think the first and most important thing is stop. Stop and just listen. Sometimes that's really important too. And I do this unconsciously, and I think a lot of us do it unconsciously. So maybe watch what you're watching on social media. Like what are people saying about, like, do you do facials? What are the big facials? What are people talking about on social media? And doing that will help you to figure out ways that you can customize it to yourself. So we did an episode on microneedling. So maybe microneedling, you're noticing there's a lot of microneedling talk out there. Talk about how you offer microneedling so you can come on to that, popularity of that service. So social listening is the technical term for it, but it actually costs a lot of money if you're going on a platform to do social listening. And it doesn't have to be fancy and it doesn't have to be big. You can follow hashtags. Like if you're on Instagram, you can just follow certain hashtags. Maybe it's a skincare treatment. Maybe it's a product line. Maybe it's a lifestyle. Like maybe it's natural or holistic or whatever it is, organic products, like whatever it is that aligns with what you're doing. Find that and follow that hashtag to see what's out there so you're in the know and you're not having to always go search for it.
So
So
really
that's
simplifying it.
yeah, that's my
Yeah.
one thing. Just, like, take a moment to see what's going on around
It
you.
kinda it kinda keeps you still focused without getting overwhelmed by the loud noise, as you like to say, right? What's out there.
Mhm.
I mean, bring it back in to
Yeah,
focus.
absolutely. And then the second point, and this will come as no surprise, embrace AI. Don't be scared because I think sometimes when something isn't new, and I've been in a lot of settings where I've heard people be like, "Oh, I really need to learn how to use ChatGPT. Oh, I know nothing about," like, there's so much out there. It can be intimidating, but all you can do is just start. And ways that you can incorporate AI is maybe brainstorming. Maybe you want to use it to help you plan. You can use it for creating some of your content. Like I know even in Canva, there's some AI features that help you create your graphics and whatnot. So step outside your comfort zone. Take a look at how are different ways that you can incorporate AI. And I'll tell you that it's might be big at first, but I think it does save you time in the bigger picture, and it can help you to unload some of the things that you might not wanna do and might not be in your wheelhouse. So
I can add to that, or
mhm,
and I know some people who exactly what you said, "I don't know how to begin, I don't know what to do. How does this work?" It's like, literally, they just started by asking it questions. And now it's like I did some follow-ups, just suggesting to people, say, "Hey, have you done this? Why don't you?" It's hard to think about all these things all the time, whether it's you're updating your website, your menu, your service, your whatever it might be. And now they're like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing ever." And
Yeah.
then I laughed. I said, "Do you find now that you don't have to think so hard?" And they're like, "Yeah." I said, "Kind of worried that it's like when the cell phones came out, during. I used to know phone numbers, people.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't now, so I kind of wonders like, "Uh-oh, I better watch that side of it." We kind of joke
Yeah.
with it, but it does help, especially when you're on a time crunch. If you limit yourself to how much time, especially the solo entrepreneurs,
Absolutely.
this is a way you can get things done for sure in a optimal time, and keep typing in until you find what you're looking for. Change that word. Change trends to something else for me.
Yeah, exactly. Another way that I recently used ChatGPT, and it was I wrote a blog and for my website, and I was in my draft of my blog. I put that in ChatGPT and I said, argue against my points. Tell me why my points don't make sense, basically.
Cool. I love that.
And that gave me a different perspective. So I think like as a service provider, like maybe it's facials or waxing, whatever. Maybe you're thinking of a description for your treatment. Put that description into Chat GPT, let's say, and say, how is this, is this not just is
How will
this
this
a good
entice my
description?
client? Yeah.
Yeah, just say you're a client. What do you think of this description? Or what doesn't work in this description? What can be better? So I think just having somebody to counter you to help you think differently. So you can use
Mhm,
it that
mhm.
too.
Love that idea.
So there's, yeah, I mean, endless ways.
Mhm.
This is its own, I mean, maybe its own next topic that we talk about is AI, but just carrying on with the non with the 2025 social media stuff. Number 3 is showing off your unique personality. And I think we've talked about this before,
It's
and
a
I
big
think that
struggle.
it's not it's when you're on social media, it's not really just about promoting your product or promoting your service, but it's really about getting people to know who you are. And that's really hard because sometimes we're uncomfortable. We don't want to put ourselves out there. I don't want to be on video. And it doesn't have to be that much or that deep. You can use client testimonials because that gives people a little peek into who you are or how your services are. You can do a behind the scenes, like maybe you set up a little your camera and give a look into what a treatment would look like with you. You don't have to say anything and you don't have to really be in the focus, but that gives the vibe of the whole service that you're able to provide. And that speaks volumes more than, the technical terms that we would say. And if you do feel comfortable, like what do you use on your skin? What are some things that you struggle with? Because bringing your humanity into it, I think also helps to set you apart, but how do you set yourself apart? Like maybe, this is I do this before every treatment and bring my clients in and give them a cup of tea and sit them down. Like maybe that's your thing. Just let
Maybe just
people
video
know.
that. Just show, like, you're
Exactly.
preparing a tea,
Exactly.
getting it ready. My client's favorite tea is this, and I'm getting it ready, bringing it into the room
Um,
so it's ready to go with her fluffy
exactly.
slippers, or it's a waxing
Exactly.
treatment, and they love to have the iPad with the silk pads and essential oils, or, like, whatever
Mhm,
that might be.
mhm. Yeah, I
It's
love that because
not
I
even
think
you saying,
that
yeah,
and that
it's
is
just
so that
filming.
you're like, "Oh my gosh, I wanna go get waxed there." Like, it gives you that edge, but it sets you apart, and also, like, I think of this, like, when I worked in the spa and my clients were my clients because, we just fit. And sometimes you'll cover for your coworkers and you'll do their, if they're away or whatever and do their clients, be like, now I know what this is not my client, but people need to see your personality. Um, and showing that a little bit on social media is maybe just stepping outside your comfort zone a little bit and put yourself out there. Point number 4 is something that I do talk a lot about with my clients, and it's the word that people often use is engage. What the heck does that even mean? What I like to say is have conversations. So don't look at social media as like a billboard where you're posting an ad about your services. Social media, it's literally in the name. You need to be social. You need to go on there and need to have conversations. But don't do it forcefully and don't do it unnaturally. Like think of ways that you can engage with people that it feels good to you and feels genuine. You're actually doing it because you want to, because that will also show up. So what are some things you can do? Like I think maybe think about a local coffee shop that is in your neighborhood or in your city. Like if they post something about their featured drink of the season, make a comment about that. About, oh, this is your whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
it doesn't have to be related to aesthetics necessarily, but keep it local to where your customers are also going to be, because that's how
Yeah,
you
like
can
if you're
help
you're
bring new people
starting
in.
a new book, if you started a new
Yeah.
book, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's outside of the business of aesthetics
Mhm.
as well
And
as well as
especially
basic.
exactly. Like it don't have to stay in aesthetics on your professional social media, because you need to be able to like be more like find points of connection, right? And we're
Mhm.
not always going to connect on aesthetics per se. Like maybe you post an inspirational quote and then like see that and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that like I connect with that quote." That's going to lead me to explore more about your page. So it doesn't always have to be, I mean, don't go too far off.
Yeah.
There's a fine line, but you have to kind of think of it strategically in who is it that I'm looking to have as clients and where are they going to be, right?
So I've got a question for you. That's kind of the solo entrepreneurs. What if I have staff? I'm trying to work on my business, my spa I'm promoting. How
Mhm.
do we get do you have a suggestion on, not to put you on the spot, but if we think about this, you have staff. So how do you bring personality into staff?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And I know that I've seen this happen a lot with businesses that do, and they do staff features. And we're not just doing staff features and like, oh, hey, meet Suzanne, and she offers these services. Get fun with it. Like Suzanne's favorite color is blah blah blah. Her favorite drink is this, and you know, maybe something all the coworkers say about Suzanne, or her clients are always saying this, something like that. Like getting a little bit more kind of
Mhm. You're the
deeper, but not too
family
deep.
of your, yeah, it's now
Yeah.
your family is your staff, and your staff is your family of that place in a sense. So how do you feature them? And that's a great idea. Yeah. Or
It is. I do want to note though, and this is a point that is my own personal perspective, so it could be different depending on who you ask, but your business is its own personality and its own voice. So although you do feature your staff and you do want to support and promote them, you also want to keep your clients engaged and connected with you and your brand so that when your staff change, your clients still know who the brand is and they go
Mhm.
to that brand. So there's something to be said about doing that, but within the umbrella of the persona of your brand, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, it does.
Just think
It's a
of your
good
brand
fit.
as a person.
Yeah, like if you have a staff member, I think I have an example. If you're, let's say you're into the holistic side of aesthetics and you know that Doreen loves yoga. Did you know that Doreen goes to yoga every Wednesday morning before work?
Mhm.
It's now bringing in a person, but it's tying into your beliefs or your brand of your business and what you stand by, right? So
Yeah,
an example, right? Suzanne
I
loves
love
to
that.
go to the beach in the winters. Nothing to do. No, I'm kidding.
Like, yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, yeah, so you can, talk about how for your one staff
We have if they
business, you
can
do
do
staff
treatment.
party, you went to a yoga or you had a yoga for like a teacher come and do a private class and you're the spa.
Mhm.
For Suzanne, they brought in, some
Body
sand. I don't know.
exfoliation and
We're not
hydration
taking you to
favorite.
the beach. But yeah, I think it's keeping it getting them out there, but always linking it back to your brand and what you stand for and what your brand's missions are. Not, I mean, that is what it is. I think that for me, that's how I
Mhm.
always approach it with my clients. This is about your brand. We'll support and promote it, but you always got to bring it back to the company, the business.
Yeah. I was joking about the beach, but honestly, actually, I brought it up because I did book a winter vacation, can't wait to go. However, on that note, in the spa when I had my business, because I noticed how many people couldn't go away in the winter. Either one, they can't because of kids in school, work wise, whatever it may be. So I brought me a vacation. Love the beach, want to get away? Come join us for these treatments. Blah blah
Well,
blah.
good
Do you
idea.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
see, there you
Lots of
go.
stay vacation. So I
Yeah.
was being kind of smarty pants about it, but you can play around with it and say, Doreen loves to go away at Christmas skiing. Can't get away this year. Come join us at blah, blah, blah. And then you can play with it with your staff, but also offering, so they're getting, and you're having fun at the same time.
You need to be playful and have fun. Don't be
Yeah.
serious all the time. It's boring. Like, people do go on social media to be entertained, to be distracted, to be inspired. Like, there's so many reasons that we are there, and we're not always there for some soul shaking, like, you know, serious stuff. Like, it's good. I think people connect with the humor. Like, look at
Mhm.
memes and stuff. They're so popular because people
Yeah.
just see themselves in this, like, that humor and the silliness and whatnot. All right. So, point number 5, measure what matters to your business. And this is, I mean, common practice. I think that part of stepping back and taking a look when you're on social media, are you focused on, nobody liked my post, or I don't have enough followers? If that's your first reaction, stop and remember, why am I on social media? Your why will help you understand, is what I'm doing working? Because if your why is that I need more clients, then yes, you need to be measuring your followers. You need to actually be measuring your engagement. Am I getting any clicks onto my links? Are people going to my website? Maybe you don't have a website and you just book through DMs. Am I getting these DMs? So knowing why you're doing what you're doing helps you figure out if it's working or not. Because we don't know if something's working if we don't know what the goal is, right?
Mhm.
And that
Just
can
measuring it. Yeah. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
measuring. How do you measure success if you don't know what you're working towards? And a lot of times we get lost in likes and comments and shares and followers that we don't know exactly what we're measuring. In my opinion, again, I think it does really always depend on your goal, but word of mouth is the one thing that if I think of if I'm looking for a new service, the first thing I do is ask the people around me. I'm like, hey, do you know massage therapists? Do you know I want to get this? Do you know somebody? Because there are so many choices that word of mouth I will trust more than doing a Google search. I don't think I'm, like, unique in that. So,
Mhm.
if we take that word of mouth, how does that appear on social media? And that would be through shares. If somebody shared my post to their stories, that to me is like a word of mouth. It's like the digital word of mouth. So, if there's
Mhm.
something that you are going to strive for, that for me
It's
is the thing
it's like a referral,
it
really.
is like a
It's a
referral.
recommendation. Yeah.
100%. What that person is saying is, I trust you enough that I'm sharing your content on my page to my people.
On that note, we forget to ask our clients to do that.
Exactly.
Help me
Exactly.
build my clientele. Don't be
If
shy
you don't
with it.
ask, you're never gonna get it. But if you do ask, you might get it. And listen, you might ask and you don't get it, and that's fine. You can just ask. I've been asked before, and the nail tech that does my nails. For them, she's like, "Oh, if you're going away, take a picture by the beach or whatever, and tag me if you don't
Big
mind."
vanity.
Yeah, like,
Exactly.
these things are important, but imagine reminding your client and having that request increases the likelihood that it'll happen. It's not a guarantee, but it's just one more thing that you can do. So I love that you brought that up.
And even if they don't share it or tag you on social media, they could be talking about you to somebody, right? There's
Exactly.
a lot of that. Like I probably have more texts than I do on social media messaging me. I have more people direct message me like privately, do
Mhm.
you recommend for this or that or whatever it may be? Yeah, I've got a few people, it's like, oh, just send me a message. And they don't want to highlight that they're asking, right? If you can still have a bit of privacy, but at the same time,
Yeah.
there's ways around it. So yeah, some will definitely do that, or have them, hey, do you mind when I'm doing your nail? Do you want to film it just quick and just a quick post saying, so excited, what color should I do this time? Or something, and then just tag where you are. It's a huge thing,
Mhm.
and that is the more norm of today. It's not unusual for that to happen. Yeah.
It's not. You're not gonna be the first one who asks your client. Okay, so and this leads me perfectly into the last note, where it's like, don't follow trends, but you can create your own buzz. So when you do ask your client, maybe you ask them to use a specific hashtag. Can you hashtag, whatever the name of your business is, or your city, or whatever it is? You can decide what the hashtag that you want to use is. You don't have to jump on trends, but you can look at what is happening that is relevant to your clients and maybe take advantage of that and create something for yourself. Like, I don't know, if a lot of your clients are parents, then being conscious of when kids are all back in school or out of, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really
Mhm.
understand who they are and how can you incorporate that into your own brand. So create your own thing instead of jumping on something else because that can become tiring. You're not going to keep up.
Yeah.
No,
So
you can't.
you kind of said that was kind of into the last point. So if we could, I'm going to sit back and listen to this and say, oh my God, I've got so much to do, is how I feel. How
Mhm.
can we just point form, if you can,
Mhm.
just generalize, point form these tips? I know you dove deeper into it. Just hit replay if you need to hear it again.
Mhm.
Jareen kind of lays out, keep it simple for us now. What can we do, especially for that solo entrepreneur that has to do everything?
For sure. Okay. So here they are. Number 1, listen. Listen to your clients, listen to your competitors. So basically just
Yep.
pay attention online. Number 2 is embrace AI. Number 3 is showing off your own personality and what sets you apart. Number 4, have conversations. Don't just post things. Number 5, measure what matters. So know your goals and then you can know if they're working or not. And number 6 is create your own buzz. And that's just like what we talked about, your own hashtag, your ask clients to tag you and share your stuff. And that's it.
Awesome. I think that simplifies that, right? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And you
if
know
you're
what? Don't
provoking,
do all of them. Pick one. Pick
okay,
one.
that's easier.
That's the thing, like, you don't have to do all of them. This stuff is overwhelming. It is. And if you do feel
Mhm.
overwhelmed by it, you're not alone. And so maybe you can't do all of them, but you're gonna, take on one thing. Just pick the one thing that aligns best with you and take that on. And if you have any questions, send us a message. Let us
Yeah,
know.
do you? I mean, that's what we're here for.
Mm.
I mean, we do actually have got, there's more and more people reaching out, which I love it, is they come out with the questions or they're giving topic ideas. We are hearing you. We're doing our best to keep up with what people are asking and pertaining to. And sometimes I'm responding back saying, could you give us a little more detail on what you mean by this? And if you don't respond back, we need to hear from you. So please remember, or it's a simple call. We can make a phone call. Like, yeah, we're here to change your world and keep you going in this industry and stimulate you and motivate you and get excited again. It's a new year, new you,
Yeah.
new year.
You know, I'm gonna be
Better
ignoring today.
you,
It's a new year, but it's the same old you. So just that's the gift.
better
It
you.
doesn't
Yeah,
have to be too big either. It's take one thing. That's all you need.
absolutely. Small pieces. Love it.
All right. Well, that's it for today. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening to Beauty Babble.